things are not looking so great for the governor of New York, because an assemblyman from New York is alleging that Governor Andrew Cuomo threatened to, quote, destroy him if he didn't show the governor support after it was discovered that Cuomo had concealed the real numbers of coronavirus deaths in nursing homes, as much as 50%, by the way. And so Assemblyman Ron Kim, who's had some policy disagreements with Cuomo in the past, says that he got this phone call and received some threats from Cuomo as a result. Let's take a listen to what he's alleging.
I was one of 6 lawmakers in that private meeting for 2 hours with Secretary DeRosa when she accidentally told us the truth, that there was a cover-up and fear that the information would be weaponized against Governor Cuomo. That moment, I had to tell the truth and I had to let the public know what happened. And Governor Cuomo called me the next day at 8 p.m. while I was about to bathe my kids. I was with my wife, and for 10 minutes, he berated me. He yelled at me. He told me that my career will be over. He's been biting his tongue for months against me, and I had tonight, not tomorrow, tonight, to issue a new statement, essentially asking me to lie and asking me like I heard and I saw a crime the other day. And he's asking me that I did not see that crime. This is what he said. Are you a lawyer? That's the first question he asked. And I said, I'm not. Then you must have not understood what my secretary told you. She didn't say any of that. She said, we had to work on the federal government first and then the state. That's what she said. Go back to your staff and the speaker's staff, draft a statement and issue that tonight. Not tomorrow, do it tonight.
So he goes on to say that Cuomo said, we're in this business together and we don't cross certain lines. And he said, I hadn't seen his wrath and that he can destroy me. He also said this, no man has ever spoken to me like that in my entire life. At some point, he tried to humiliate me asking, are you a lawyer? I didn't think so. You're not a lawyer. It almost felt like in retrospect, he was trying to bait me and anger me and say something inappropriate. I'm glad I didn't. And so what he was referencing in the beginning of that video was, meeting with lawmakers from the state of New York. And that's where DeRosa, secretary working for Governor Cuomo, basically admitted that there was some worry of a federal investigation, which is why they were concealing the coronavirus death numbers coming from nursing homes. And they intentionally put out numbers that undercounted deaths by as much as 50%. So it's just, and his wife, by the way, Kim's wife, overheard parts of the conversation and also spoke to reporters to confirm what she had heard. So Cuomo's not looking real good. And honestly, Cenk, I'm not really that surprised considering the fact that for anyone paying any attention to Cuomo's actions in the beginning of the pandemic, you can tell that he has no problem doing things that are insanely cruel, like cutting funding to Medicaid. He knew about the severity of this pandemic and still chose to pursue cutting funds to Medicaid. So when he was getting all of these, complimentary reports and everyone was talking about how great he was, I just feel like reporters were comparing Cuomo to Trump, who clearly had no interest in dealing with coronavirus and taking it seriously. Trump will make anyone look good. But if you just looked at Cuomo's actions objectively, he wasn't that great either.
Yeah, well, all right, so there is actually a little bit of a funny part ending to this story that I'm gonna get to at the end. But first, the serious stuff. So, Anna, to your point about the Medicaid cuts, it's part of the problem with national media or mainstream media throughout the country. If Cuomo is lying, they will cover that because that is not substantive. It is a situation where, okay, we can clearly say that they had the wrong numbers, but cutting Medicaid is a policy issue. And there we have to be neutral. I don't know, in the middle of a pandemic, whether you have healthcare or you don't, I can't tell which one is the right thing. I'm a reporter, I can't tell. If I said it, it would be biased. So I'm not going, and plus there's a massive centrist bias. So they love establishment Democrats like Cuomo. So in the middle of a pandemic, him cutting Medicaid is actually worse than any of these actions. but it'll get almost no criticism from the press because they'll think, well, I can't say that. Oh, he misstated numbers. Great, we could run with that. So now, secondly, the bullying issue. We covered this, I think, on a story about another politician who I also don't like last week, and I defended them in a sense. And here I'm gonna make a similar point. It's not to defend Cuomo. It's that people that are outraged by the bullying behind the scenes of politicians, I guess the main culprit is the media. It's not the viewers, it's not the readers, because they never hear about it because the media covers it up. But that stuff happens 24/7 in politics, nonstop. When I was briefly running for office, I had local candidates come to me all the time talking about how Democratic leaders in California would bully them regularly. You're not allowed to say this. You're never allowed to criticize us. If you do, even if you win, you'll never be able to introduce a bill. We'll ruin your career. This stuff happens nonstop in politics, and yes, in Democratic politics. But if you tell the press, like, oh, no way, no way, no, that's our beloved California, well, in that case, it's not the governor, but New York governor, it's this person, it's that person. And God help you if you're an outsider or a progressive, because they'll never believe you. They'll always believe the bully instead. So now things are beginning to change. The good news is beginning to change. So that's why you're seeing some of these stories. And it's because of progressive people like Assemblyman Kim going, I'm just gonna tell people. Like, you keep telling me you're gonna ruin my life. Have at it, Hoss. Let's see how it turns out. I'm telling people, I don't think you can. And I want to add one more thing to that, Anna. How do they ruin people's lives? There's two principal ways. One, that's it. We don't care about your constituents. We don't care that it's also my voters. You're never allowed to introduce a bill again, okay? Leadership will freeze you out. You'll lose committee seats, etc. But that's actually the milder version of it. And you're seeing the more significant version right now. It's in all the stories. They bury you with their friends in the press. So in the stories now are starting to pop up attacks against Assemblyman Kim. Oh, did you know he did this and this in 2015? Wait, why are we talking about something Kim did in 2015? Oh, because Cuomo's people leaked a hatchet attack against Kim and you ran it, because that's how they bury their opponents. The press helps them bully outsiders and progressives.
So we have a poll on this because state lawmakers are currently working to possibly strip Cuomo of some of his executive power, expanded executive power related to the coronavirus pandemic. And so the question is, should New York State's Democrats strip Andrew Cuomo of his emergency pandemic powers? You can choose one of two options, very easy, yes or no. And if you want to participate in this poll, just go to tyt.com/polls/Cuomo. And by the way, Cuomo is up for re-election next year. Relevant information.
Yeah, no question. Look, oftentimes our audience surprises us, and so maybe there's a lot of Democrats out there who still say, no, Cuomo did an okay job and he should have that power. So I'm curious what you guys think. But let me end on the funny note. And there's no diss on Assemblyman Kim, who I obviously just complimented here for his courage. But at the end of the CNN report, they say, they quote Kim as saying, that night was very, very troubling because we couldn't sleep. And she's telling me, his wife is telling me, what did you do to us? Stop what you're doing, please. She feared for my future and for my life. I'm not sure I would have said that quote about my wife in a situation like this. I know what he's trying to say, which is that we felt significantly threatened, but stay strong, Kim family. And the reality is, as long as you expose them in a big enough way, they won't be able to do anything to you because they're usually hit you by using the press without anybody seeing it. And by the way, to the audience, if you see any nonsense stories about Assemblyman Kim popping up all over the place now, you know that reporter is corrupt because they're working with Cuomo and taking leaks, and they know that he's attacking and trying to bury Kim as we speak, as Cuomo actually threatened to do. So, and disregard those stories. You want to talk about Kim at another time? Fine, but as a distraction now, or as vengeance against him for exposing Cuomo, that is unconscionable. Every reporter should tell Cuomo's office, under no circumstances will they accept a nonsense leak like that, and you shouldn't read it, and you should throw it in the trash where it belongs.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.